Michael's all choked up now.
Hey guys.
I got to let you in on a little secret before we talk about the topic here today. Every time we do StreamYard, we're challenged to hit that live button just at the right time, because we've got the countdown timer, and we don't want to hit that countdown timer too late, because we want people to see just a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 if at all possible. If we hit it too late or too soon, you're not going to wait for those numbers to count down. So,
right.
You know, that's the challenge. And that's why
we're
laughing.
We're still working on that challenge. Right?
We're still working on it.
We're going to get it. We're going to nail it one of these days. I know we are.
We certainly are. We certainly are. Well, let's get to it, guys. It's goal setting time. And today we have an incredible lineup to share goal setting stories, successes, and secrets that help you crush your 2022 goals. I'm Tonya Eberhardt, founder of BrandFace. We help business stars differentiate themselves, and we do that through personal branding.
Hey guys, I'm Michael Carr. I'm the COO of BrandFace. I was actually a BrandFace client almost 8 years ago, and the principles made my company so successful that I bought into the company and became a partner. Right. We continue to do this because I want to be able to help these entrepreneurs like yourself to continue to have the kind of success that my company continues to have using the BrandFace principles. Today, we're the most comprehensive personal brand building system across the globe. All right. Hey, we've got a great lineup for you. So this is all about goal setting. Keep that in mind. We want to crush 2022, and we hope that you do the same in your industries. All right. Today, you're going to hear from two incredible thought leaders in the entrepreneurial space, and we'll learn their stories, their successes, and the secrets behind setting and crushing goals. You'll also hear from several of our BrandFace clients as we invite them in to discuss where they are now. And we're actually going to do a little bit of a series, a little teaser there with several of our other clients across the world and let them show you where they are now after setting their own brand building and business growth goals.
Yep. Before we bring out our first very special guest today, I'm going to start by sharing a simple story that just illustrates the power of writing down your goals, guys. So about 6 years ago, I was actually rummaging through some old paperwork in an old Rubbermaid container. I should buy stock in Rubbermaid containers, okay? That's besides the point. They're everywhere. So I found a small notebook where I had written down goals. And on one, I had pulled out a piece of paper, and on one side of the page, I had written personal goals. On the other side, I wrote business goals. So I had written these goals down 5 years earlier. Keep in mind, I was rummaging and ran across them 5 years later. One of those goals that stood out to me on that piece of paper, it said, time to write a book. By the time I found this piece of paper, I had written 4 books. Okay. I say this because I had always kind of made fun of the goal writing process, right? It's like, oh, I know it. It's in my head. I know my goals. What's the problem? I don't have to write everything down, do I? Well, apparently, yes, you do. You do. So I encourage you as we move forward today to take notes and write down any ideas you think are helpful, and most especially your own goals. Take that step to write it down. And I wanted to just start with that really quick story to tell you the power of writing it down.
Yeah, we'll be reminding you that throughout the whole program. Let's get started with our keynote speaker here today. It is my great pleasure to introduce Tristan Ahumada. He is a very well-known thought leader in the real estate space. In 2015, his team surpassed $100 million in sales volume, which placed him in the top 1% of real estate agents in the entire United States. He's also the founder of the largest real estate Facebook group in the world, Lab Coat Agents. And many of y'all are familiar with that. If you're not, go join it. There's a wealth of information on that Facebook group. He's a natural entrepreneur. He's a coach. He's a great friend of ours. And we're about to learn how he crushes his goals time and time and time again. Welcome, Tristan.
Oh, thanks for having me. I love it. I'm also a fan of you guys. So
yeah,
thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on. But goals, what a great topic here. I think what we forget when it comes to goals is that I'm going to take it down to the basics, and that's just living a life that's just more enjoyable, right? And sometimes we get so caught up with these goals to to have this amount of money or to achieve this in business. And there's nothing wrong with it. But what I've seen over the years from interviewing thousands of people is that some of them aren't happy. And so I want to really help you prioritize what I think, what I know is the most important thing for you to prioritize. And that's these three things, and they're broken down in between. So pay attention here. Take some notes. Number one is the self. Number two is family. And number three is business, right? You need to prioritize these so that you have clarity. A lot of the times we go through the day, we're in the middle of the day and we're like, I feel like I didn't get anything done, right? Because you're not prioritizing those things that are important. Now, in the self, here's what you have to prioritize when it comes to self. There are four things in self. It's health. So health meaning physically, you're taking care of yourself, what you're eating, health. Number two is mental, what you're learning, right? When you're consuming for your mind, what are you continually learning so that you can unlearn those old things, right? That's number two. Number three is emotional. Are you taking care of yourself emotionally? Because we've seen some business owners that I'm not even sure how they are business owners, right? And I'm sure you've encountered some of these too. And number four is spiritual. Whatever spiritual looks like to you. I know some people that go into religion, God, and other people that go into more meditation and self-discovery, right? So whatever that looks like, that's the self, right? You've got to prioritize those things. They have to fit into your week. Number two is family. Now, family looks different for everyone. I know I have friends of mine that have pets that are family, and I'm like, that's awesome. But sometimes it's the spouse, it's siblings, it's children, it's grandparents, it's friends, best friends. That's got to be a priority for you, right? It looks different for everybody, but it's got to be a priority. And number three is business. When we talk about business, I'm not just talking about your current job, your current business. I'm also talking about that startup, or how you have that side hustle that you really love, and that's your passion. That's what I'm talking about, right? I need you to start prioritizing these things. And the biggest mistake I see that a lot of people make is the feeling that they need to balance these things, because at the end of the day, they feel like, I should have spent more time with my whatever. I didn't have time to work out, right? And the balance is really the challenge. And I want to challenge you to use a better word when it comes to balance, because I understand what you're trying to say when you're saying balance, right? You want to include as many of these powerful things in your life as possible so you can feel more complete, but it's really a harmony. Think of this. Think of the most beautiful piece of music, right, that you've heard. The instruments don't all play at the same time. It would be garbage if it did, right? It's a harmony. Things come in at the right time. People come in at the right time and sing their parts, and then it ends, right? That's how life works. It's a harmony. Some days, some weeks, you're working your ass off. And some days and some weeks, you spent it with your family. And other days, it's time to reflect. The day's never going to balance out and be like, hey, I have equal amount of time for this as I did for this. It doesn't work that way. But what I want you to prioritize are those things that are important. Because if you let that slip, where you're not spending the right amount of time with your family, that goes away. Same thing with your mind. You're just wasting it. Like one of the best things I heard a while back, and then I dug into it a little bit deeper, was we have up to 80,000 thoughts in a day. 80,000 thoughts. All right. We got multiple billions of cells in our body, but 80,000 thoughts. The challenge with that is that most of us, we have the same thoughts we had last week, last month. How is that serving us? It's not. This is where you need to make time to grow, right? You've got to start looking at the world differently. Because if you don't, you're just going to be stuck. And then you're wondering how to achieve that thing you wanted to achieve, but you aren't open to new thoughts and new ideas because you're not consuming that information because you're not prioritizing, right? That's important. You see how then when you start identifying these priorities just on the self, now all of a sudden your world starts changing because guess what you're doing? Here we have the biggest misconception too. The mind is different than the body. Ooh, you got to work on your mind. You got to work on your body. No, this is one, right? This right here is one. I need to take care of this on a daily basis. What you consume, both for the mind and the body, matters. If I take care of myself, right? Self, those four things. If I take care of the self, I know that I can show up my best self for those people around me, those people that are important to me, the business that's important to me. But the challenge is we start with the business part. Like, what's the goal? Oh, I want to make 100,000 this year. I want to make 1 million this year. But you're not going to make it happen because you're not focusing on you first. That's the key. What's up, Chris? Here's where you have to start thinking deeper and you have to start identifying those things as priorities and you have to fit them into your day, right? You have to fit them in. What are they? This is why I think routines create who we become. And those routines have to revolve around these priorities, even if it's just a little bit, whether it's working out. What are you reading? What are you listening to? Who are you hanging out with? All these things matter. Are you binge watching Netflix tonight again? Are you reading a good book? Are you working out? Are you watching what you eat? Are you getting more spiritually connected? That's what matters because now you're functioning at a higher plane, which guess what happens when I'm chilling out with my kids? I'm a better dad for them. Guess what happens when I'm with my wife? I'm a better husband for her. What about my parents and my sister? What about my employees and my staff, right? What about those I can connect with? That's what you need to focus to. This is what you need to do. When you look at goals for 2022, think priorities. What is the most important thing in your life right now? And it starts with the self. It does not start with anything else. The moment you start working on yourself and get committed to doing that, everything else will start changing. Everything else will, because you stop living that world where it's everybody else's fault but yours. Why are they so lucky? Oh, why did they get that? Right? Fixed mindset versus growth mindset from the book Mindset by Carol Dweck. So from now on, I need you to start prioritizing those things that are important. You know what they are. I'm preaching to the choir here. You know how important it is to work on yourself and your family and then your business. You just have to make time for it. And that's where you have to plug it into your calendar and say, yep, workout. Yep, reading. Yep, reflection time. Yep, spiritual time. And you've got to have some time to play with the family too. Connect with your spouse. Go on a walk. Connect with your kids through playing because that's how they learn. They don't learn when you tell them what to do. They learn when they enjoy time with you. And business? Well, what are the priorities in your business? What is that one thing that you know you need to do that's going to make everything else easier? And for me, it's always creating content. Sorry. So for all of our businesses, guess what I'm doing? I create content and more content and more content and more content. And then refine and create more content and more content. And then we hire. So that's what I want you to do for 2022. Focus on your priorities. And if you have any questions, always reach out to me You can find me on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere else. That's all I got for you.
Hey,
That's massive, Tristan.
That's the priority.
Yeah.
Right. What we put up last is, put yourself first, right? Work on yourself first. There's nothing else to say after that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because unless you are well, unless you are whole, you can't possibly be a help to somebody else.
Right.
You can't give unless you, first of all, create this environment to do so.
Yeah, very true. I mean, we can give, but not to our fullest potential, right? And that I think we look back and we're like, damn it, I could have done a little bit more. I could have been more present, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's what I find is the biggest challenge, because you're just robbing yourself of that.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. It's almost, guys, like changing the thought process from being reactive to proactive. And I think that was what is going to be the takeaway from our goal setting seminar today, is because you have to think about these things and priorities, like Tristan said, and then start to implement those things. One bite at a time. I mean, these aren't things. Rome wasn't built in a day. We can't get to all of that in a day, but it doesn't mean we can't write these things down and say, these are the things in my life that I want to change. If you've spent too much time working and pouring yourself into clients rather than pouring yourself into your spirituality and your family, which should come first. And so those are things that it's important to write down also, to make sure that you live up to that. And Tristan, I really like how you said it. When we talk about these things, we think, okay, I got 8 hours in a day, right? I'm going to spend 2 hours with my wife. I'm going to spend 2 hours with my kids. I'm going to spend 2 hours with my clients. No, it doesn't work that way, right? We have to stay fluid. We have to move, but we're constantly checking ourselves, and we're revisiting what we've written down for our goals to say, wait, I did goof off too much last week and didn't call the prospects that are going to help me get a paycheck 90 days from now or 30 days from now, or whatever that might be.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. I appreciate that.
Oh, Michael's grandpa has a fantastic quote, Tristan.
What is
it is always make them. What is it? The most important thing is to always make the most important thing the most important thing.
I like that. That's so good. I mean, geez, he's not wrong, right?
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Wait, that reminds me of I don't know if you watched City Slickers.
Yes.
Remember City Slickers? This Curly just hands finger up. It's like, what is that? What is that? Your finger? No, the one thing. Whenever you discover that one thing, right, everything else is going to become easier, right? So,
yep,
that's so true. That's so true. The one thing.
It is so true. Well, thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. I just want to say how appreciative we are of you coming here, and appreciative of the things we were allowed to do together this last year. We got a chance to do some work together on one of your events and another one coming up, and being part of Drunk on Social, which is another fantastic Facebook group. If you guys aren't part of that and you have any need for social media, which is basically, if you fog a mirror, go to Drunk on Social's Facebook group. Okay. Yes. Because there isn't anybody that I know that does that better than you and Jeff Fitzer.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's super
insane.
Kind. Thank you.
It's insane. It's really where we get a lot of our information that we turn around and teach our clients. So thank you for all you contribute, and we appreciate it. And you are so welcome to hang out with us the rest of the time today. If you need to go, we understand, but we appreciate you so much.
I'm going to watch in and out from the back.
You got it. That's perfect.
That sounds great.
That's perfect. Thank you, Tristan.
Too. Thank you, Tristan.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, guys. So this guy just inspires me so much. I love watching him work, and all of the different things that his hands are involved in just blow my mind sometimes.
Truly does.
It really does. It really does.
And a guy, I've got to say this for all of you out there, just like, hey, I'm too busy, right? I'm even too busy to write down my goals. Trust me, if Tristan Ahumada has time to do these things, you have time to do these things. I promise you, that guy is busy, but yet knows how to prioritize the things that are super important. So that's the takeaway, I think.
You bet. So on the heels of that advice, we would like to bring on a real estate pro from Venice, Florida. He's also a BrandFace client, he and his wife. They set a goal in 2019 to build a brand, and they have done an incredible job, and we're going to hear about it right now. Welcome, Nick Flair.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey Nick, great man.
Good.
How are you?
Good, very good.
Yeah, it's nice seeing you in the family for so long. We appreciate it so much,
Mhm.
and we got a couple of questions for you. We'd love to hear, about some of your goals and were you able to achieve them? So let's start with this one.
Okay.
What was your goal when you started building your brand with us?
Oh gosh. So when I stumbled across you guys, I remember this saying. It was how to stand out in a sea of sameness. So that
Yep.
was and that's always stuck with me. And it kind of, you see a lot of stuff in our industry, and there's a whole bunch of, you're inundated with things that are going to change your business, but this was something different for me, and it was how to stand out in a sea of sameness. So I was like, what does that exactly mean? And then when I started thinking about it and the whole branding notion of branding, I was like, what a great way to differentiate yourselves from there's so many agents out there. And even now, I mean, now their agents are coming into our industry like crazy. And they're all, even in our little market, everybody, the only brand that was out there was somebody's name. That was it. There was no, and so when we had the opportunity and we kind of developed the lifestyle locator with you guys, it was such a great fit for us. And we're like, wow, this is a great way to not only differentiate ourselves, but to scale it going forward so that people, could identify with us. And in our little area of Florida, and we're on the Southwest coast, it is all about lifestyle. So we just, what a great match. So people understand it. It's easy to talk over and talk around, whether you're in a networking group or what have you. So it's a great conversation starter. So for us, gosh, for like we go to a party or these events locally and stuff, and there will be somebody there that at this point will say, "Hey, locators." So they've left off the lights, but they call us locators. But then that prompts a conversation by others. Go, why do you call them that? And then they find out we're in real estate, and then it takes legs from there. But it's really, really neat. It didn't happen overnight. I mean, we were all in with everything we did was lifestyle locator. Everything, was kind of a joke. I sent you the picture one day of the tag on our car. It was, locator. And
His vanity plate
if
for
you
his
hadn't
car.
said it, I was going to say it. I'm telling you, like you guys definitely embraced
we were all in, and we wanted to do that in order to build two things: mind share and then market share. So we wanted to be in everybody's mind, and then we knew that would eventually translate into more market share and more profitability. So that's kind of where we were at. We were kind of stuck. We were kind of plateaued, but we needed some excitement, and it brought some excitement for us. And I think that kind of got our creative juices going, and I think it's helped, and we're still growing. So, and a lot, much of that is the brand. There's no doubt about it.
I think that's awesome. And your application of that brand constantly, because you're the driving force of it, is really good. Would you say that you've achieved that goal?
Yes, we would definitely achieve that goal from just the brand recognition or the local recognition of the locator, lifestyle locator brand. And then also we had financial goals too. I mean, and we've eclipsed them every year. This past year, we really blew things out of the water. I mean, there's a lot going on in the industry, but there's a lot more competition too. So I think, we're 3 years in or whatever, so now we're really, it's exponential growth. I mean, we've reached a point in our growth curve where we're just kind of skyrocketing. And I mean, there's so many new agents coming into the market. It's just so great to be able to be the lifestyle locators, and it kind of speaks for itself at this point. So
yeah.
Agreed.
Hey, I want to say two things about that, Nick. First of all, you make a very good point. People may be sitting here thinking, well, everybody's business has increased, in this last year, right? And yet so have your competitors. So the advantage you guys had where you were positioned well going into that time frame, right? And when you're positioned well going into that, that means you've got greater market share and greater mind share. So you did the work that it took to position yourself properly, get out of that sea of sameness that we talk about. And that's really what put you guys in that spot. So how has that really impacted your business from a standpoint? And you don't have to just, discuss, numbers or anything, just maybe percentage of growth for those people out there listening, thinking, okay, measurement wise, what has that helped you achieve?
Yeah. So the brand, I think we'll just get back to basics a little bit, allowed us, like we did something that was kind of like, and this happens to a lot of agents out there. We were with one company for 17 years and it was kind of bold, but we changed brokerages, which everybody's, oh God, but what stayed constant was our brand. Okay. That never changed. So I think that that gives us a lot of freedom to do what we want. Because we weren't tied to, we were the brand, we were the lifestyle locator. So we weren't, whatever big box somebody might be. And I thought that really helped us do that. Other ways that it's impacted our business, and part of it goes way back to the beginning. Like when we first started, when we were developing the brand, you had a lot of activities where we have to do self-reflection, fill out all these forms and it seemed so painful at the time, but those tools are so crucial to figuring out who you are and who you want to be, and that's kind of what we did. And I thought that was awesome. And those tools, I still look back on. I have a file in my Dropbox. I go back and I look at that. I still look at it today. All the things that we kind of you kind of explored to try to figure out where we're going to head as a brand. So that process, it forced you to create goals and to kind of envision, your future, where you're going to be 5 years from now. Whereas if we hadn't gone through that process and we just picked the brand out of the air and just kind of, okay, this is what we're going to do, I don't think it works, because you didn't really give it any thought. So I think from that point of view, it forces you to think about that aspect of your business. Now, as far as growth, we grew 15 to 20% a year until this last year, and then we went up almost 90%. And some of that again is the market, and I realize that, but a lot of it's because we were in a position to take advantage of the market. We couldn't be happier, and we think the branding. Again, you got to be, in my opinion, you got to be all in. You can't do it halfway, and you just got to give it time and keep pounding away at it, and it will pay off.
You guys are phenomenal at that, Nick. I just want to say you make us proud.
Very good.
You make us very proud. And Beth couldn't be here with us today, but please tell her we said that as well.
I will.
And thank you so much for sharing that with everybody, because, you set goals for a brand, and people want to know, when you set goals, do you actually achieve those goals?
Right.
And, you're living proof that happens all the time. So thank you very much.
And to pair it,
stay with it and that's the hard part. You have to be disciplined and stay with it, and not expect, I got a brand this month and next month is going to be spectacular. It doesn't work that way. It does take
nothing does.
You are absolutely right.
Right.
It's a healthy grow. It is a healthy grow.
Yep.
I love that
awesome.
term. I love that term. Okay. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And if you can stick around with us, if anybody has any questions for Nick, post them up there, and Nick will be happy to answer those for you if you can hang with us. If you can't, we understand.
Very good. And Tristan was awesome, by the way. I loved it.
Isn't he always? Yes, very much so. All right. Thanks so much, Nick. We'll catch you next time.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, moving on to our next guest right here. We have this guest via a video. He is a superb person. He's done a pre-recorded video for us because he is on like his third vacation in
what's
many
up with
months.
That? I think it's the brand.
I love this guy. It goes back to what Tristan was saying. Like, it's not just about, we're not just talking about money. Money's important, but money, if you chase money, you're chasing the wrong thing. It has wings and it flies away. And you know what I mean? A minute that you run up to it, you got to chase harmony. Like Tristan said, this is a dude chasing harmony right here. I'm putting words in your mouth there, Alex. His name is Alex Sanfilippo, and many of you might know Alex. Awesome guy. He's the founder of Podmatch. a platform that automatically matches ideal podcasts, hosts, and guests for interviews. Podmatch was founded in July of 2020 and has grown astronomically since that time. It doesn't happen without a clear vision. It doesn't happen without a goal, and it doesn't happen without a brand. Okay. And you're fixing to hear how he did that. So, Alex, if you're able on vacation, whatever mountain you're climbing, whatever surfing you're doing somewhere in Costa Rica, whatever you're doing, diving, whatever, hopefully you're able to look at this and tune into your own words here. So let's hear from Alex.
All right, guys, here we go.
BrandFace, Alex Sanfilippo here. I'm the founder of podpros.com. We are a software company that creates solutions for podcast guests and hosts, just helping them elevate their voices and get their messages heard. Michael and Tonya, I want to say thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor. I will say, though, it's a little bit scary, painful, maybe is a better word, to give me less than 5 minutes to try to explain the way I handle goal achievement, actually doing the things I say I'm going to do throughout the year. Nonetheless, honored to be here and do my best here. So I'm going to dive straight into this, everybody. So what I'm going to be sharing with you here today is the way that I have found that works best for me to achieve my goals. It'll be different for each and every one of us, but these are the things that I found that help me the most. I'm going to try to share some things today because I just have a few minutes that are a little bit different than what you've maybe heard before. So I'm going to go ahead and dive in with one that you probably have heard first and foremost, and because I think it's the most important thing. We always have to start with why. Why are we doing something? The reason I like this is because what we're doing is achieving our goals or pursuing our goals, but that what can get difficult when you don't remember the why behind it. You always have to start with the purpose, the why, because then when times get tough, you can go back to it and say, you know what, this pain is worth it today because of my why. The reason I'm doing this, the drive behind it, the passion, the purpose. If you don't have that, you're going to get burnt out without it. So I always like to recommend start with why. It's the first thing that we all need. Once you've developed a really strong why, you need to have very specific goals. There's a quote that I love, which just simply says, unspecific goals lead to unspecific results. If you want to achieve specific results in your life, if you want to achieve that why that you have to create some specific big picture goals. These are the big things, right? I'm not talking about like 30 little goals. I'm talking about like what's the most important thing you have to get done in order to achieve this why. So have very specific goals. Once you've done that, you can actually begin looking at how to achieve them. Now, you can't look at a giant goal of like build a skyscraper and achieve that, right? No, you start very small. You start with the foundation. You start with permitting. I actually don't know where you start, but you start somewhere along those lines, right? And then you build one brick at a time, just like anything else. Anything we do when we create content, it's the same way. You have to have that big goal, and then you have to break it down into something you can actually do. So what I like to do is a weekly target. So I look at that big goal and say, okay, what can I achieve realistically in this 1 week? Now, what do I need to do every day this week in order to achieve my weekly target, which gets me closer to achieving my goal? And so for me, maybe it's a yearly goal, or a quarterly goal. I'm looking at that whole thing, breaking it down into weeks and then breaking it down into days. So when you do this, it's really important to make sure that you make your days digestible, something that you can do so you don't like go to bed then and then be like, oh, don't think I can do that again, right? You don't want that. You want to be able to say, yeah, you know what? I did these 3 really important daily tasks. I got those done. Tomorrow I'll do 3 more. It's not really pressuring me too much, but I'm little by little getting closer to the finish line. Now, once you've done this, you've got these weekly targets and these daily tasks that you're doing, you need to enlist accountability. This is like the secret weapon behind all of this. Now, I'll tell you how I do this. I actually once a week send out an Excel spreadsheet to 12 different people that hold me accountable for different goals that I have. I have 12 goals every year, and I have a person who holds me accountable to each of those. That person has full authority to call me out whenever they want. If they're looking at what I'm doing saying, Alex, this doesn't look like enough, or are you burning yourself out? Looks like too much. Are you remembering the why? Are you getting off course? These people have that authority in my life. Now, you don't need 12 goals and you don't need 12 people. Maybe you have one person. But here's how I take that to the next level. Every week I'm giving them a report, and if I at any day like don't reach my daily checklist, right? Like my 3 things I try to achieve every day, those daily tasks, I'm going to pay the guy who's in that category. I'm going to pay him $10 every time I miss a day. Now, that might be like sound really extreme to some people, but the truth is having that little extra pressure lets me know that, you know what, I didn't accomplish this, and reminds him, hey, he's got to do a good job holding me accountable. These people love me. They're not just trying to get $10 off of me every day, right? But having that accountability and being really serious with it has helped me get through those daily tasks every day and stay very consistent. At the end of the day, consistency is the key, I believe, to all success. Now, the last thing you want to do is create meaningful routines. And I can't get too deep into this, but I am going to encourage you to check out a podcast episode I did. It's just me talking. So if you like my voice, I suppose you can go check that out. You can go to creatingabrand.com/155, creatingabrand.com/155. And I really start breaking into some of my routines. The reason I do this is because your routines will directly impact your environment. And the environment that you're in will affect what you're able to achieve in a day. What I mean by that is if you're in front of a TV or your phone's right in front of you, maybe like it's just sitting right here or something, that's not going to help you. That's the wrong environment for you to achieve the things you need to do every day, which leads to what you need to achieve every week, which leads you to that big goal that you have, which helps you fulfill the why. So you need to have all these things in proper order, and the environment is so important. Getting your routines down is really an impactful way to do that. So this is the way that I achieve my goals every single year, and it's worked really well for me. I hope that you're able to pull something from this today. Thank you so much for listening to this, everybody. I appreciate it.
All right, Alex, I know you might not be hearing this in real time right there, but listen, pressure's off, dude. You nailed it. You nailed it in 5 minutes, and that is awesome. You always do, man. No, I think that Alex Sanfilippo is one of the smartest humans I've ever known. Like, he has a way of putting things that are just so smooth. You know, unspecific goals create unspecific results. That's about what it boils down to, right? And we're going to talk about, as we go through this, about the importance of making sure we do that correctly. We write it down, we repeat it in our minds, we repeat it in our heart to make sure that we manifest it, right? But I love it. Unspecific goals create unspecific results. And of course, he said, my favorite thing, consistency is the key to all success, which I definitely agree with him 1,000%.
Yep. Okay, let's move on. Now we're about to hear from our second client of the day, who had a big goal headed into 2022, and that was to build a brand that represented everything he was trying to accomplish. We're going to hear what that was, right? He began the process actually just a few weeks ago, so he has not completed the program yet, and the reason we wanted to bring him on is because he's so doggone excited about what he's already completed, and we love that. We love that. So he's actually completed the first D of our 3D personal branding program, which is define, develop, and display. He's completed the define phase. He's an entrepreneur, financial advisor, podcaster. Welcome to the program, Nathan Snar.
Hey, Nathan.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely,
Hey,
man. Thanks
bet.
for joining us.
You bet. You bet. So tell us, first of all, Nathan, what was your goal when you came to us and said, okay, I'm ready to build my brand. I got a big goal.
Well, I honestly didn't think it was possible. I mean, very similar to Michael, because I had you guys on my podcast. I went to 2 other branding companies, and it just completely flopped and failed. And I spent all this money and resources and time, and I was, really jaded that it was something possible. And then when we did our, when I picked you guys in order to do, the podcast with me, and I did it through Podmatch. So love Alex and everything that he's created and the relationships that I've gotten from it. After the podcast, I was like, you know what? I really like these 2. They seem like they know what they're doing. Sure, I'll give it another shot, right? Like I'll go ahead and go down this line. And probably the main reason why I did so is when Michael discussed how he became a client for BrandFace. I was like, wow, I can relate to that like 100% because, he was so complicated and complex in everything that he did that I knew what I wanted my brand to look like inside my head, but to articulate it to somebody and then to have that individual or that company put it on as like a brand that you could put up on a shelf and, essentially produce out there so people can connect with it. At that point, I was basically I didn't think it was possible. So going into the BrandFace, community, I said, this is kind of my last shot. Let's go ahead and give it a go. I really like these 2. I trust these 2, most importantly. And, I couldn't be more excited and more proud of where we've come and what we've been able to accomplish in just a short time frame. Super excited where we're at right now.
We're super happy to hear that, Nathan, honestly. And your situation was complicated. You had your fingers in several pies, and
Exactly.
there were a lot of things that made up Nathan Snar exactly who he is. And then finding that direction of where he wanted to go with that obviously was real important. So those of you who have complicated situations on brands, you can define that, and then you have that target that you want to go after.
So
Yeah, it was interesting to hear Tristan. I actually really loved what he said. I took a ton of notes. I already have over a page of notes just from Tristan and Alex so far.
Me too.
In regards to like self, right? Like you got to take care of yourself first. I saw self as also being in regards to like a business. Like then your business has its own self. And if you're not taking care of your own self, which I saw as like a brand, then how are you actually supposed to go to where you want to go? And it is so key. And you guys said it on my podcast that the number one mistake that everybody makes is they market first and then brand second. And it's the number one thing. It's the two companies that I dealt with tried to do beforehand. And understanding and getting to know yourself, I guess that's probably the best thing that I've done so far just with you guys. And it's actually brought tears to my eyes on multiple occasions when we're trying to define myself. And then the way that you guys have been able to package it, I'm like, it brings me to tears to see where I was to where I am and how I could relate to people moving forward and how this process has gone. It's already exceeded my expectations 20-fold.
thank you.
Love to hear that.
Love to hear that because, there's two things I want to say about that. The first is people don't realize all the different things that a brand can do for you. It's not just about making you more money. That's an awesome side effect, right? But there's so many other things that it does for you. It's just crazy. We'll talk about some of that in a moment. But part of that is putting up the guardrails for you to say, okay, here's the lane that we're trying to stay in. Here's what we want to be known for. So don't really veer too far outside of this highway that we've created here so that you stay on track and you keep those goals in front of you. And I think that's how another way a brand can help you achieve those goals and stay on point with them. And I think you're seeing that now. It's like, it's like that aha moment where everything kind of just comes together into one lane and it's so beautiful to see. And it's just the beginning. That's the most beautiful part is it's just the beginning. So I appreciate you having confidence in us and love the enthusiasm because, we've done this for a long time now. And the one thing that we tell people that they have to come to this program with an open heart and an open mind and energy and excitement.
Agreed.
Right. And if you do that, it's going to pay you back tenfold, because really, you know what you're working on, Nathan? You. Is there anything greater in this world to work on? That's what a great opening Tristan did because he said, you got to work on yourself first. That has a lot to do with your brand. Your brand is you. Let's put it that way.
Very similar to doing goals for yourself as an individual. If you're looking at your own business where you're currently at right now, I think that building your brand has to be like number one thing that you do. And it's when you talk about the aha moment, it's kind of like, what the hell have I done up until now? Right. I kind of feel like I've been so successful in what I've been doing right now, but I forgot step one. So after I get step one, how much faster is this going to accelerate? Very similar to what happened with Michael when he ended up doing it, because you were already ultra successful before meeting, Tonya and BrandFace. And then after you did it, you're like, what's really going to happen here? And I already foresee what's going to happen as we develop and build my brand to the point where I could put it up on a shelf and then, put it out there to the masses. I know it's going to, as you said, a side effect of building your brand. I know it's going to, create revenue that's tenfold just from doing step one. So I would suggest anybody that's on here that has yet to build a brand that it has to be step one. You're kind of like chicken with your head cut off if you don't have a brand. Personally,
I would agree with that.
So
obviously, 1,000%. And I think the only like trailer I would hitch to your truck with that is that it also gives you longevity. I thank you for mentioning me. I did have massive success, but I'm not in that industry fully anymore because I didn't have a brand. Like I did a lot of business. I did a lot of work. I was highly successful, but it didn't have longevity to it because I didn't brand it. I didn't define my customers. I didn't go after the customers even after the industry changed a little bit. I'm never going to make that mistake again. after I met her, and she taught me the BrandFace principles. And so I think you've nailed it. I can't wait to see where we go from here.
Me
Nathan.
too.
Cannot wait.
Yeah, we'll have you on a different episode, and we'll talk about the whole thing when we get it all dialed in.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. It's been a blessing, guys. You guys have been a huge blessing to my life so far. So I can't wait to continue our relationship together.
You warm my heart, Nathan. Thank you so
sir.
much. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining us today. All right.
Stick around if you can.
Yep, stick
All
around.
right.
All right.
All right.
Okay, guys. Next
Okay.
up, another client.
Next up is another client. I got to say, one of my favorite. This lady has been with us from early on. I think 2016.
2016.
Right. And her name is Kathy White. She's from Whistler, British Columbia. She's achieved her brand and business goals steadily, year over year over year over year. She continues to grow. And so everybody, if you would, welcome the lovely Kathy White. Hey, Kathy.
Hello, everyone. Greetings from chilly Whistler, just north of Vancouver, BC. And it's my pleasure to be asked to join you today and share some of the things that have happened to me since I came across BrandFace on Twitter. Back in 2016, I had just moved to Whistler from Vancouver Island. I was a realtor on Vancouver Island for over 20 years. I was a managing broker of a very successful realty company. But when I came to Whistler, I was trying to make a new mark as a full-time realtor. And doing that in a competitive world, I knew that I had to find a brand that aligned with who I was as a person and also with my realty career experience. And so what I felt when I spoke with Tonya and Michael for that free conversation was the decision that I felt supported and guided through the process.
I remember that, Kathy, and I had forgotten that you actually connected with us on Twitter. I forgot that, but I remember the very first time we got on the phone together, just having this connection and really, understanding what you wanted to achieve because you were already living the lifestyle of exactly who you were trying to attract. Mm-hmm. And so for us, it's like, no brainer, right? This is a direction we were headed in. So tell us, what were some of the goals that you had? I know you did mention a couple, but what specific goal did you have in creating this brand to match what you were already doing? And did you achieve that goal?
Well, thank you. I find often with realtors, we're quite inhibited to talk. It's funny. We're kind of shy. We're kind of secret agents at times. We don't like to let our light out to the world and share what we know. And it took your words to help me really learn that. And I came up with those sound bites that were so helpful in my marketing. So when I'm talking to people, they go, oh, she really understands where I'm coming from, whether it's a family, a retiree, or an investor coming here to Whistler. That was where you really hit the mark with your modules through the online program. And so that helped me define all my marketing pieces, my websites, my YouTube channel. And now I have a business plan to move that forward, which again will differentiate myself with my clients and bring more fun to my career as I move into 2022. Because I think, as you say, there's so much competition out there, keeping fresh and having really great ideas. I've found so many awesome ideas by attending your Wednesday webinars, which I still thoroughly enjoy attending. And then, I think building a brand where I've achieved that level of success, where people come and say, hey, you are the lifestyle locator of British Columbia. You really do know your community and you support your community. So I feel that I can live the brand truly. And I thank you for that.
Listen, I know you live it.
Yes.
And like we still, for those of y'all who are just getting to know us a little bit, like we use her examples on her photo shoot, on how she lives that brand each and every day. We've used them since the day we met you, Kathy, and we continue to use them because you just embraced it so fully and allowed it to build your business and build that longevity in that business. How would you say that the brand has impacted your business overall?
Yeah, so since joining you, I found that organically through all that work, I was getting about a 15% increase to my yearly success of income and clients, building that up. And then in the last 2 years, it has really taken off for me. About 25% of my business comes from that branding specifically. And when I'm working with people, you know, they share that with their friends and go, it builds on the testimonials. It builds on just the connection with our community. And as a result, I've started to branch out in co-marketing projects in my community. So you can see how that percentage growth over the years. I have a real goal for 2022 to actually double my income. And I'm going to do that.
Double it.
We're talking to the Double It Man over
That's
here.
right.
His own agents have nicknamed him Double It Man.
Yeah, so the idea was to leverage off Lifestyle Locator, and I've also purchased whistlerhomes.com and whistlerhomes.ca because I plan in about 5 to 8 years, when I can work towards retirement, is to leverage those two websites to bring in new realtors to work with and help them build their career using those very strong, clear, consistent branding messages from those that I can easily pass on to them when I go off to ski and mountain bike into the future. And, you know, so lastly, you know, something I want to work on in 2022 is using StreamYard, just what we're using today, because I think sharing our education, motivating people to act, helping them with their questions is so much what BrandFace is all about. Whether it's a client of yours or whether your clients are helping other clients, we are aligned. And I found that's really a great business model.
I love it.
That's such a good point. Such a good point. And I want to say to you guys, for those of you out there thinking, hey, wait a minute, I thought there's a lifestyle locator in Venice, Florida, and there's one in Whistler, British Columbia. Yes. So what's very interesting about this, Lifestyle Locator is one of our trademarked brand identifiers. We have dozens of them. So if you want to learn more, go to discussyourbrand.com. We can talk to you about that. But each individual is so unique. Nick and Beth, their story is completely different from Kathy White's story. And yet they're both known for the lifestyle of what they help people achieve. Whether you're selling a home or buying a home, you're helping your clients achieve the lifestyle that they want in totally different areas for totally different reasons and totally different people. So it's interesting how that brand identifier kicks open the door to get people to like really want to learn more.
Conversation starter.
But there's so many. We just love these two folks today, and they're such just a great carrier of that brand identifier because they live that lifestyle every day wherever they are, and they can teach and carry that lifestyle with them. So just wanted to touch base on that. But Kathy,
and grow into them. I got to put that out. And as
Absolutely.
Kathy and Nick both pointed out, as well as Nathan in a totally different industry, it gives you the ability to expand upon from now on, like forever. Sure, and that's a great thing. And you do it so well, Kathy.
Thanks so much. And another great way, because I live up here in British Columbia, you know, another great way of keeping on top of trends in the real estate market is through the BrandFace Star Agent Facebook page. You know, it's really a great way, all those individual brands that people are creating, and to know where they live, so that if I have clients coming to or heading to the United States, coming from the United States, I can chat with them. I can connect with them. We can share ideas and support each other through what you've set up. So thank you again for doing that.
Thank you for supporting it. Yes.
Thank you. And, you know, most of all, we're just so happy to have you in the family, Kathy. Thanks for taking time out of your day to share this with us. All right. Bye. Stick around if you can, Kathy. All right.
For those of you out there listening, stick with us. Stick with us. We're going to wrap this up soon, but we hope you're getting some good value from it.
Yes, we are. Okay. Now it's my pleasure to hand the mic to Mike. Okay. So I want to say that BrandFace would not be what it is without Michael's commitment and dedication. Like literally, he has crushed his own goals these last few years. And it's just been so wonderful to be a small part of that and just sit here and watch it happen. Right.
Huge part of that.
And you're about to find out why, you know. And I'd like to preface this, you know, Michael's a part in this program by saying this. You may have heard other people say things like, just be yourself and your customers will determine your brand over time for you. I disagree with that statement, right? Yes, it does happen. Of course, if you don't create it, they're going to create it for you, right? And then how long is that going to take, right? I disagree with that because I know that you can craft your own brand to precede you to and help you hit those goals. And in effect, tell people what you stand for and tell people how to treat you. And your brand can have impact much more rapidly than you can even begin to imagine. As Nick said, as Kathy said, it's a nice, steady, progressive growth, a very healthy growth. But that's because they put it out there every single day. They're not waiting for their clients to tell them where they belong in the sea of sameness, right? They're going out and creating this brand and telling people how to treat them. So, you know, if you wait on others to tell you what your brand is, you should ask yourself, do they see you the way you want to be seen?
That's a huge question.
I just want you guys to keep this in mind as Michael tells a little bit of his story for you now.
All right, guys, thank you so much, obviously. But I would like to start off by saying, whenever somebody says, hey, how have you achieved the success that you have achieved and continue to achieve? I just say, I just do everything she tells me. It's been the secret of my success for 8 years.
I love to hear that. It's not always true, but I love to hear it.
You know, I am a big believer that you create what you want. And you also attract the things in your life that you want or don't want. And I think that is so finite in our thought process that we don't realize the power of it, right? If you take what Tristan said lightly, you're missing it. It is super, super, super important, right? The positivity of everybody that you've heard in this entire group is the resounding theme that leads you to the goals that you want and the success that you're going to achieve. In my personal life, that changed when I stopped letting the world dictate what I did. And I started dictating to the world what I would do. Okay. So think about that for a minute. I said, when Tristan was talking, it's changing your business from being reactive to being proactive. That you can do that in every goal in life. It doesn't have to just be about how I'm going to grow the company for money or that it might be, I'm going to grow the company so I only have to work 3 days a week. I remember a guy one time, he told me, he said, I only work 3 days a week. That's all I'm going to work. I says, why do you just work 3 days a week? He said, because I cannot live on 2. That was his goal. And there's nothing wrong with that goal because that goal is fantastic. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to live a lifestyle where you only work 2 days a week and you're not writing that down, guess what you're going to be doing? 20 years from now, you're going to be working 7 days a week going, why do I never reach my goal? You have to write these things down. One of the things very quickly that changed the way I began to think about things is I read Don Miguel Ruiz, The 4 Agreements. Okay. I thought it was a fantastic book. It deals with what Tristan was talking about, 80,000 thoughts a day, right? The Toltec people called that the matote, that's the mind. And in this mind, we have this sea of voices and everything that's going around us that tell us who we are. And if we believe those things ourselves and we're letting the world dictate to us what we're going to do and how we're perceived, then we haven't taken the reins to that. We haven't taken those 80,000 thoughts and subjected them to only the positives, to only believing in the real, even in the face of obstacles, guys. I can tell you in my particular life, I can trace every bad thing that ever happened, and I can trace the triple blessing that came by living through it. And you need to start thinking about that, right? The 4 Agreements, real quickly, quoting Don Miguel Ruiz, pick up the book, if you will. I'm giving full kudos for this. I have added some of my additional rules to this and things that I get finite with, because as we also talked about with Alex, unspecific goals create unspecific results. And we know from Napoleon Hill, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, that the more specific we can be about the way we think about things, then the better we are at getting those things. So the first goal and first agreement is be impeccable with your word. Be honest. Let your yes be yes. Let your no be no, right? Be honest. Don't just be honest verbally. Be honest with mentally. Be honest with what you say and think. That's very important. Now, what I do when I add upon that, how I want to be seen, I add loving authority to that. The reason that I thought about that and I began to put in my life and my prayer life and my thoughts is I wanted loving authority is because I want to be able, how many of us know what we should say in the face of a situation, but we don't because we're worried about what somebody would think? We're going to deal with that. Don Miguel Ruiz deals with that already. Second rule, don't take it personal. Nothing. You didn't get the promotion that you wanted. Don't take it personal. That ain't about you, right? You didn't get that client that you wanted. You spent 3 months putting together the entire RFP, right? And then you shoot down, you didn't get the job. Don't take it personal. Didn't have anything to do with you, right? It's very important. The finite rule that I add to that is I like to ask for obstinate or insulation from obstinacy. Okay. If you go to sit down with a client and you're saying, look, this is the reason why my service is going to be very invaluable to you. And that person chooses somebody else. If I take that personally, I've wasted my time. Right. If I say, hey, insulate me from the obstinacies or insolence of the people that I'm trying to help, it's not personal that they didn't choose you. Maybe their aunt's a better real estate agent, or maybe their uncle is a better attorney, or maybe, maybe you didn't get them as a podcast guest today, but you're going to get them as a podcast guest later. Maybe you didn't get that speaking event that you pushed so hard to get. There's a reason why. There's a bigger and better bus pulling up outside. That means that you just freed that day up to be speak on a bigger stage. There's no doubt, right? So I like to pray for insulation from those things so they don't affect my repertoire. The third agreement and the important part about these things is you make these agreements with yourself and you keep them. Don't make assumptions. I teach my salespeople constantly. If you read a text message and you make an assumption on what that person meant by that text message, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be wrong. Do not make assumptions. Don't make assumptions somebody's mad. Don't make assumptions they're going to be disappointed. Don't make assumptions they don't like you. You know, one of the things I laugh about the most is when people say they might be in a room and somebody's speaking a foreign language and they'll look at you and go, they're talking about us. No, they're not. They're not talking about you. Why would they be talking about you? They're speaking in their native tongue. It doesn't have anything to do with you. Do not make assumptions that you understand somebody else's mind, right? For that one, I push myself to be more humble, right? I don't let pride lead. If you make the assumption that, they didn't choose me because I messed up on that listing agreement, or they didn't choose me because I didn't write that RFP correctly or whatnot. Again, you brought in the negativity and you haven't brought in the positivity. So you can't do that. Always be humble. That's what I add to that. And then number 4 is always do your best. Always give 100%. If you're being with your family, like Tristan said, if you got your goals and priorities straight, be 100% with your family, right? You would be better off to be with your family for 15 minutes wholly than to be with them for an hour answering the phone in between times. Be 100%, do your best. And guess what? If you take the other 3 agreements to heart, guess who is the only judge of whether or not you gave 100%? You. Don't let somebody else tell you you didn't give 100%, because if you didn't, you already know it, right? And the definition that I add to that is I try to remain dignified in all situations. How many of us have been in a situation where we found out, we didn't get that opportunity that we were pushing for, and you're standing beside the person that did? You didn't get that speaking. You weren't asked to be a keynote. You weren't asked to be on the stage, on the big stage, right? You're asked to be on the small stage, and then you're going to take that personal, right? Why would you do that? Get on the small stage and give 100%. Be dignified in the situation. I promise you these things will pay off for you. Now, as Tonya taught me, and we teach others now, which is the greatest part of my job, is a great brand doesn't just change the way others see you. A great brand changes the way that you see yourself, right? I never thought that I would grow up. I've always been an entrepreneur. I worked for 6 months as a senior in high school for another man, and I've worked for myself ever since. My entire life, I have been an entrepreneur. I've had varying degrees of success in entrepreneurship. I can tell you, I found my purpose when I became the abundant life broker. And now I work in my goals. When I set my goals and I write down my goals and I go over my goals in my mind and I speak my goals out verbally and manifest that, my goal is to work with entrepreneurs and salespeople for the rest of my life, helping them to achieve the maximum amount of what they want to achieve. And I get to live that for the rest of my life. And I think that that's an incredible goal for me. And I feel incredibly blessed to be a part of this company and also to be able to do the things that we're talking about here today, and hope that you get serious value from it. And thank you, Ms. Tonya.
You're so
Again,
welcome.
secret to my success.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. It doesn't always work like that, but I am humbled by that comment. So thank you. All right. So we have one more guest for you today. And I'm so happy that we have this collaboration of these beautiful people here today, because they're special and all in their own right, and very special to us. And this next one is certainly no stranger to being special to us. In fact, we work with her. She's our global training specialist for BrandFace, and she also handles operations for Michael Carr and Associates. So I'm going to let Michael share some of her backstory before we bring her on the stage.
Yeah, so I get this, back in the day, it's been about 5 years back. All right. I won't belabor my story of how we got to it, but the company was going through major transformations. We were shutting down divisions. We were creating other ones. I had my financial advisor. I was in her office every day with my manager saying, move money here, do this, fix that, get rid of that. We got to get this. We were throwing bodies overboard, right? We were keeping the ship afloat. We were trying to establish a new direction, and we were trying to learn and implement the BrandFace principles, because we knew that these things made so much sense. They were going to get us where we all wanted to be. And I get this email. And this email is from this beautiful young senior in high school that says, hey, I think, and I can't remember the exact words, but something like, I'm interested in real estate. Can I come intern? I have a work-based class in school. Can I come work at your office as an intern and learn the real estate business? And my first thought was, this girl wants to skip school. And I always wanted to skip school. So I thought, okay, why not? So I answered her, and I'm like, well, if you think I've got something to teach, then sure. I mean, come hang out. If you just want to skip school, I won't tell you teacher, right? You know what I mean? And she agreed to come on, and she's coming up on the 5-year. We're days away from the 5-year anniversary of this young lady coming into our company. And then I got to add that she didn't, I made her work for free, like I think through the whole summer. And then I just saw that she just had this acumen. She had this great personality. She's not afraid of anything, fearless. And even if she wasn't, you'd never know it. She loved to learn new things. She definitely had an acumen for sales. And I said, you know what? We can do something with this. You want to come on board? And I've been working the rest of my life to try to enhance her return on her investment for every dime or every minute that she spends with the company, right? And so it's my great pleasure to introduce to you Sydney Peck.
Hi, thank you.
Hi, Sid. So tell the truth. How long did he really make you work for free?
I think it was like 5 or 6 months. So
all right. I thought it was a little longer than that. I was going to nail him here with it. So
I'm still trying to make up for that, folks.
Yeah.
I had graduated high school. It was after then.
Yeah, it definitely was after high school. I know it was the whole summer after you graduated. So,
well, yeah. I want to add to this story. So she'd been with us a couple of years. And of course, with Michael being heavily involved with BrandFace and being the partner, even though she wasn't part of BrandFace at the time, she knew everything that was going on behind the scenes, right? And then she became involved in BrandFace and helping us to, get clients through the program seamlessly, helping to do some of the training, things like that. And one day she comes to you and says, "Hey,
I want a brand. I want to go through the BrandFace program." And I'm like, I was like, I've been waiting on you to ask.
Finally.
I've been waiting on you to ask, because I didn't want to sell her the idea. I wanted her to decide that was what she knew her business needed, how to build her bank of business. Because I know that people, if you try to give them something that they're not ready to receive or something that they don't perceive the value in, they're not going to work the program. I knew when she said that she would work it.
Yep. So
I did not know how well she would work it.
No, neither did I, but I assumed. even though you shouldn't
She's-
assume. It's a good assumption.
She still blew the doors off what I thought would happen.
Yep. Let's talk about that. So, Sydney, what was your goal when you started building your brand with us?
So when I, woke up one morning and decided that I did want to move forward and I wanted that brand, the main goal was that I felt like I was, lost in real estate and that I didn't have a place, and, clients and customers didn't know who I was. They might see my name online, come across it somewhere, but I wasn't really anywhere for them to find me either way. And so I wanted to get a brand so that I was being portrayed to those clients and customers before they even had met me, or before they had ever even called me or emailed me, before they had ever reached out to me. They already knew something about me and knew they wanted to work with me. And that was a big goal for me. I just wanted them to see me and know, oh, this is who Sydney is, and I want to work with her, and then call me. Not call me and be like, oh, I don't know anything about you. Who are you?
Exactly. In other words, your brand should precede you.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So tell us, have you achieved that goal?
I would say so. I mean, I would say 100% absolutely. I mean, I'll be out in town and people will be like, oh, like you're that girl on the billboard over there, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And they're like, oh, I pass it every day. Or I have, friends and people that I don't know that tell me they hear me on the radio and that they recognized who I was from that. And so absolutely.
Yep. And it's not just being out there. Lots of people are out there. It's how you put yourself out there. Yes. What are you known for, Sydney?
I am the American Dream Agent. So I help my clients and customers achieve the American dream of the home and lifestyle they deserve.
Yep.
Atta girl.
And she does so. So much so. Now, folks, I want to quantify something else with her too. When she first came on board, she knew she wanted to be in real estate. Like she knew she wanted to be in sales, right? You were telling that story earlier today, right? And I don't want to put words in her mouth. Tell them what you told the recruit the other day or this morning.
I didn't want to go to college. Didn't love high school. School wasn't my thing, but I knew I wanted to succeed in life and I wanted to be something. And so, I had family members in real estate and I was like, I can do this. I can be good at this. And so I just kind of put full force on and went for it.
She absolutely did. So to put it into perspective, she was a real estate agent and had not yet built her brand. She was young. I think were you 18 when you passed the test?
Yes.
Yeah. So she was like 18 when she passed the test. And she came to me and we talked about this. She said, how am I going to get people to trust me? How am I going to I'm so young. Like, how are they going to know? And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, relax. They're going to. Do you feel like your brand has helped you also with that?
I would say so. My brand, it's given me a lot of confidence. So I can go into a listing agreement knowing these people already knew who I was, already know, what I specialize in, how I can help them. And I don't even get questioned on my age. I mean, that's not even a question anymore. There's never any kind of like, well, how many sales have you done? Or how old are you? And before that was definitely, you could tell that there was something there. And, I probably didn't come off as confident as I do now. And you could tell that they maybe didn't feel as confident in me.
That's the definite.
Fantastic point. How's all that impacted your business? Let's get down to the bottom line, Sid.
All right. Bottom line, brand is the way to go. My brand has literally tripled my transactions year over year over year. So I've been in the business for 4 years now. I built my personal brand in the second year of that, and I have tripled the numbers every year.
Bravo.
Right. Even with me screaming, double it.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I remember when you told me your goals pre brand, right? You told me what your goals were, and I was screaming then, no, we'll do more than that. And you're like, with everything else I got going on, I don't know how I'm going to do that. And then you tripled it, right?
Yes.
And then I said, no, we're going to double it next year. And then you tripled it.
Yeah, I tripled it again.
Right.
I really do. I mean, that brand just pulls everything in. People contact me. They know who I am offline. They see it. I really feel like it just puts this picture of you out there, and it just makes people come straight for you, and they don't even need to interview other people, and it just brings everyone to you.
Yeah,
that's so true. And I want to address this too. Like if you are just starting out in real estate, or this applies to every single business genre out there, guys. It doesn't matter what industry you are in. these same principles apply. Because if you're somebody that's new to your industry, or somebody that just has a lot of new competitors in your industry, or something's changed in your industry, or you're young or you're older in your industry, your brand can level the playing field very quickly.
Yes.
Very quickly. Because if you don't put something out there, some reason, if you don't put your why out there and a reason for people to do business with you, guess what? They're looking for a reason not to do business with you. Oh, you're too
All the
young.
time.
Oh, you're too old. Oh, you're female. Oh, you're male.
Oh, you haven't
whatever.
had enough transactions. Oh,
yeah,
you
exactly.
don't have enough experience.
Yeah.
You know, I like to go back to what Alex Sanfilippo said. He talked about enlisting accountability. I can tell you right now that a brand will absolutely hold you accountable, right? Wouldn't you say, Sydney? If you tell people you're the American dream agent, you better be able to deliver the American dream.
Yes. And I actually remember that, you know, when I first rolled out my brand, I was so excited, but I remember being like, I have to live up to this. Like feeling, you know, and so it did. It held me accountable, and here I am, you know, tripling and tripling, and it fully held me accountable 100%.
And I have to agree the same way. You know, my personal brand is Abundant Life Broker. That means a lot. If I'm going to say that, I have to live up to that. I have to try to do that. And so that's for you guys out there that are thinking about whether or not you have a brand and what your brand may be. It doesn't, like we said earlier, it doesn't change how others see you. It changes the way you see yourself.
Yep, exactly. Sid, I can't tell you how proud I am of you. Like you're like a daughter to us. You're just like on time every time. You are just impeccable at what you do on all fronts. On all fronts. There you go. Oh, that's a good one. You're hired. That's a great one.
I just thought that's awesome.
That is awesome. We're using it, Sid. Let's talk about that. Thank you for sharing your story and for sharing your talents and your everything with us. Thank you so much for all that you do for us, Sid.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys. I couldn't do it without you.
You're awesome. All right.
Vice versa, by the way.
Absolutely. I was just about to say that.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll catch you later, Sid. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, we are coming to the end. So here's what we're going to do at the very end. Okay. I want you to get out your pens right now or screenshot this slide that you're about to see because we're going to share with you the SMART method of goal setting. Now, it's not new. Many of you may have seen it before, but it's something that we feel is very important to keep in mind as you're building your goals or setting your goals for 2022. Okay. We want to make sure all your goals are very specific. Describe your goal as specific as possible. That goes back to Napoleon Hill, which we'll talk about here in just a moment, but as specific as you can. As Michael says, it's hard to say that word specificity, but it's a big word and it means a lot.
Yeah, very important. Let me give you an example. If you say, I want to achieve my goals by December the 12th, 2022, you need to say by December the 12th, 2022 at 4 p.m. in the afternoon.
Yes.
Be that specific about it. It's very important. The second one, the M of this acronym, is that they need to be measurable, right? You can't just say, hey, I want to lift a lot of weight. You can't do that. You got to write down a goal you're reaching for, and you want to make sure that you can track that progress, right? Remember weight training where you do a max out, you know, and you got to be honest about that, because if you lie by 10 pounds and you only gain strength by 10 pounds, you look back and you haven't gained a drop, right? It has to be measurable and you have to be able to track it.
All right. And achievable. Work toward a goal that is challenging but possible. So if you're just starting a new podcast, or you're just starting a coaching business or a speaking business, right? You may not be on the #1 TED Talk stage this year, right? That may happen next year or the next year, but don't stop, because make sure you write down those goals that are achievable. You may get on the #1 TED Talk stage. I'm not telling you you're not, but just make sure that you are really looking at those goals, because if you don't put something that is achievable or attainable, then you're going to get disappointed and you're going to back up from your goals.
Exactly. And if you do obtain that goal, change the goal.
There you go.
Which is much easier to
elevate
do.
It.
Elevate the goal, right? All right. The R is relevant. Okay. Very important word. Work in something relevant and important to you, right? It has to be relevant and important to you, because you're not going to put forth the effort if it isn't here in your heart. Right.
Okay. And T, this goes back to what Michael just said, time bound. Give yourself deadlines, right? And maybe not just one deadline, but maybe multiple deadlines along the way. By the end of first quarter, I want to accomplish this, etc. Assign space on your agenda. Okay. If you don't write it down, like we started all of this with my story of writing down, it's time to write a book, right? If you don't write it down, in my mind, it does not exist.
Agreed.
Okay. So take time to write it down. And so, you know, I also want to take you to the very next thing we're going to want to talk about is, we've mentioned this quote several times today. And there's a reason we mentioned this quote several times. A great brand doesn't just change the way others see you, it changes the way you see yourself.
Right. If you only take away one thought today, I really think that should be the one, because it's so important, right? I can't stress it enough. Yes, a great brand can get you your business and get your business dialed in. Just like Kathy said, it also will set forth future goals that you can grow into. Just like Nick said, it gives us a 5-year plan. We're not just looking at this as tomorrow or what we're doing. It gives you all of that stuff. Just like Nathan said, it ties everything together and gives you focus on where you're headed, right? It helps you define your direction, your point of differentiation, what it is that makes you stand out against so many others that are coming into every industry. Folks, there's 9 million empty jobs in the US alone. Okay. So every business has competition. It's not like it's just one industry or the next. And you need to stand out in whatever industry it is that you're working with. The side effect of what it does to your psyche and your confidence, as you've heard today, is literally unbelievable. You will write down goals that you will shatter, and then you'll go, man, I should have made them bigger, right? It changed my life.
And you can after that, right? That's so true. All right. So you guys have all heard of Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich is his most famous book. We won't go into the full story here. If you don't know it, there's a million people talking about it on YouTube. Go there, right?
He's the godfather.
Get the book. He really is the godfather or the grandfather or however.
He didn't invent it.
No,
he's just famous for it.
He's famous for goal setting, right? And so it makes sense that we share his simple method of setting goals. So we're going to post that to all the social platforms right now. Is his personal goal statement is a simple one sheet, guys, that you can follow to put down your goals, because your goals should not be so complex, right? Your goals should be really simple to look at and say, okay, I can absorb that. I can do that, right? So we're going to share that with you now. Through the chat forums in the various different social platforms that we're on right now. All right. And so here's what I want to issue a challenge to you about. We're posting that link now. Go on, download it free. Okay. There, you don't have to give your email or exchange a firstborn child or anything like that for it. If you fill it out and send it to us, we'll send you a free copy of our BrandFace book. All right. Doesn't get any easier than that. And that's going to help you achieve your goals even more. So my final comment today is my favorite quote of all time, guys.
And my favorite of hers.
Yeah. This is so great. And I wish I had come up with it. I did not. The great Dr. Wayne Dyer did. He says, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. That's vital as you are headed into 2022, because if you look at things as though you're not going to achieve them, as though the mountain's too high, the river's too wide, guess what it is? If you take a look at things differently, then they're going to change. And I cannot stress that enough to you guys. So, and then finally, the time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, guys. The best time, the next best time, today. So write those goals down. Get started. Get going with it, okay?
Keep your eye on the goal and off the obstacles. Okay. All right. Hey, listen, guys, this is all about prosperity. That's why we're talking about this with you guys. It's all about prosperity. When we say we're literally talking about the true 360 of an abundant life that we wish for every one of y'all and every one of your industries. We know at BrandFace here that prosperity favors the bold. So we are famous for saying, be bold, folks, especially with your brand, and especially in 2022.
All right. And thank you so much to our esteemed guests today.
Yes.
To thank you to Tristan, to Alex, Kathy, thank you so much. Nick,
Nathan,
Sydney, everybody, thank
Yep.
you for lending your advice to people, because guys, I suggest you take a strong look at it, and best wishes to you, all the prosper to you in 2022, and be bold.
Absolutely. Thank you, Miss
right.
Tonya.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.